Hello and welcome to TFT EU vs NA Mortdog Madness tournament, where some of the biggest TFT streamers compete. Day 1, Game 1. Enjoy.
To see this hatch because that's going to be a huge spike for them. So we'll see how players have gotten used to playing around this egg and this new mechanic, because from what I've seen in my lobbies, it's introduced some crazy boards, especially with the tome early, everyone getting access to +1 of a trait.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to see the first pick here for Appy's Junkyard, Jeweled Lotus, and Thrill of the Hunt. Now, Riley, I mean, when you see these three, I know flexibility is generally quite valued, but we see Jeweled Lotus for Spicy Appies, which, again, admittedly is a little bit of a flexible item, and Appies being an AP-leaning player, I can understand that, and immediately goes for Brand with an IE Slam.
Immediately. It's not just because he's an AP leaning player, it's also because he had the setup immediately. He had these brands, he had the Infinity Edge plus the Rod ready to go. That's a perfect slam if you have the Jeweled Lotus, because of Infinity Edge guaranteeing these spells will crit, because Jeweled Lotus means your spells can crit. It's basically a free Jeweled Gauntlet for your entire team. So Appy's immediately with the setup to really maximize the value of Jeweled Lotus. If he hits this brand pair, gonna be a very strong opener.
Yeah, and I mean, even just two one-star brands can be quite powerful in the early game for just the first few rounds for the win streaking, because they can proc off of each other, which is just, I mean, a really good setup for Appies alongside this Jeweled Lotus. And we see, we see the Poppy. We might be able to see some bodyguards come in. Just gonna pivot over to Yordles and play for Econ, though, looks like is the consideration.
Yeah, he doesn't have really another Arcanist to play around. Yeah, we have the Blitzcrank in shop, so maybe could have played around that. Is going to sell off the brands and put these items onto the Corki instead. This looks like a quote-unquote mistake, but for Appies, he's planning on playing around AP, and so slamming those items onto the brand on neutrals, yes, it's quote-unquote suboptimal. It helps him just slim down his thought process, so gonna just sell off the brands. We're gonna get the items onto Corki. Runs into Salvi, though, who has armor plating and a Cho'Gath already, so he looks like he's gonna run over Appies. Just not a bad loss, though. So, Appies has the Yordles for Econ, not the strongest opener, but he's going to be in an okay spot.
Yeah, that's fun to see the armor plating from Salvi with the early Cho'Gath. Slam that TG. I mean, this is a fun opener. I love to see the early Cho'Gath, right? You get the stacks going right away. We can see kind of a commitment to that, especially because we are on armor plating. So definitely a fun board to watch and see develop. It is Metamorphosis for Mutant, so we'll be able to just make the Cho'Gath even bigger, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder also if we're going to see 3 Colossus, because that's a trait that got introduced this patch as part of the 4 fun changes. So with armor plating, 3 units that are nigh unkillable as is, and then you have armor plating on top of that, making them even more unkillable. This could get scary if Salvi reaches that point where he has a super strong 3 Colossus board with the Galio.
Look, me 3 big boy, no pivot. All right, let's go, Salvi. Let's get it. Let's get in there. I love to see it, especially with that early Cho'Gath. And we're just waiting patiently for the giant egg to pop too, because I think that's going to introduce so much craziness. I love this mechanic in the as Mort said, quote unquote, for fun patch at the end of a set. So great to see. Rolling a BT on the Cho'Gath for this round, so Salvi going to be good there. But Mercenaries at 2-1 for Kurum. We're going to have to look out for that one for sure, Riley.
Ooh, fancy the little new graphic. Oh, we got an alert. We got a 2-1 Mercenaries. Oh boy. And considering it's a team environment, yeah, we have just a standard 8-person lobby, but we have to remember it's a 4v4. You're going to want a spread of comps and playstyles that people are playing, and Kurum, just the designated Mercs player this game. You've got Dish Soap and Appies who are kind of like middle of the pack, Spencer not too far behind, and then Kurum, bottom of the leaderboard, gonna hard lose streak, gonna try and get that huge Mercs cash out, be the one who gets his team the first this lobby.
So the cool thing about this being a team format is actually if the matchups line up correctly, Kurum could get cashed out by his teammates on purpose if he gets very low. So it's really nice to be able to play the Mercs at 2-1, knowing that you're probably safe to guarantee a cash out at some point in the game. It's very likely that at some point the fights will line up where you just have your teammates in your pool and they can try and make it so that you are able to win that fight guaranteed, get your cash out, get your money, and then try and win streak from there and spike the first so you can get that bounty money for your team.
Yeah, true, and that's an interesting dynamic in these lobbies. Yeah, when you're trying to cash, you're gonna have 4 players on the other team all rolling down, all trying to power spike to prevent you from cashing out, but you have the 3 players on your team who are actively trying to cash you out and maybe making their boards a little weaker in the process. So that as long as Kurum doesn't get too unlucky and just hits a bunch of EU players when he's trying to cash, it's pretty safe. He's going to get that big payout.
All right, and we're getting word that this is that 26 round egg. It's gonna be 5-7. It is the biggest one, so gonna be exciting to see those major spikes, the radiant items coming out of that. That is gonna be sweet when we get to that point.
Yeah, the 2 radiant items. You have to also keep in mind, we get 2 reforgers and a remover in there as well, so it's not going to discourage players from being aggressive in how they're building items for their carries, for their main tank. They can have a triple stacked carry and a triple stacked tank and not worry too much about not having room to put the radiant items onto those units come 6-1, come the dragon. So players aren't going to be changing their game plans too much, I don't think. It's just once they get there, they have a lot more flexibility with how they play the end game.
Wow, hitting the Lucian too on 2-6. This is a very strong twin shot board with the Yordles for the extra econ. This was a true 2s coming out of Marks, so it looks like maybe it was Lulu and Corki, so just getting those early easy Yordles, or potentially one was sold for econ and we've hit this Corki naturally other than that. But either way, right, that early aggression, the early true 2s helping this win streak, or helping to facilitate this win streak, and just hitting that Lucian 2 is going to help just continue that very easily.
Either way, yeah. We were getting word that the True 2's drop was Lulu Zyra. Not necessarily the best drop you can get, and definitely with True 2's, it's very possible to low roll the units you're getting, but Marks making the most of it, putting a redemption on this Lulu. This is a build we've seen pop up a lot this patch with the Enchanter buffs, and even with the hotfix. Before the hotfix, there was a bug that the damage reduction from multiple redemptions stacked. Redemption Lulu and Enchanters still very, very strong.
Oh, Lucian?
Lucian's got
there he goes. Yeah, he wins that.
Easy.
He wins that. So Salvi's the one who loses their streak. Mark's able to hold on to it with the Redemption Lulu, as you're talking about. Very, very powerful. In that fight, it wasn't able to do as much, but the fact is, they just hit the 2-star Lucian, and it was plenty of damage to make it happen. But here, you know, we see a unit you're rather familiar with on the board for Spencer.
Don't get me too excited. I see a Talon too.
Yeah, I don't think this is...
But
I don't think it's happening, Gerard.
It's not a Talon game. We have a Talon on the board. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But it's not a Talon game, so I can't get too excited.
No, I don't know if that Deathblade is necessarily going to be a Talon.
There's 4 Talons. I wish. It's not happening, but I wish.
I gotta hold you back. It's probably not Talon.
No, I'm just don't get
There's
your
the
hopes
junkyard
up.
that's been rolling though. So that's cool for Spencer, trying to get even more items in this game. I'm not sure how long they've had scrap in, but it is in right now. I imagine most of the game they've had it in with picking junkyard in the first place.
Yeah, I imagine either since 2-1 or 2-2, considering the timing of when they got the component. But for now, this board, no frontline, but who cares? You have a Talon 2, you have 4 Assassin. Who needs frontline when the entire backline is dead?
True. Actually, I mean, we're going to see Mark's very strong, right? This is the very strong twin shot board with the Lucian 2. There's a slam onto the Nocturne with the TG. That's going to help out on this fight, trying to get that win. But no one on the Lucian just yet. And yeah, that's just going to be way too much. I mean, these enchanters, the Lulu with the redemption, there's so much healing, so much damage. Marks, I mean, I think they're in good shape to win streak for a lot of stage 3 as well.
And Marks got in the aggressive 3-1 level 6, got in the Morgana for Enchanter, so that's going to buff the the shield on the Morgana. That's going to buff Lulu's heal. That's going to buff the heal from the Redemption on the Lulu. That's a cool little interaction between the trait and the item. So, yeah, Mark's looking like he's in a really strong spot to 100 streak for a good while.
Yeah, cool board here from Dish Up as well. Rich Get Richer gonna play 4 Bodyguard early on. We saw the changes to the Exodia comp being even stronger with 8 Bodyguard. Would be fun to see if Dish Soap can hit that, but of course, not gonna hold my breath for that just yet. It is definitely fun to see these different compositions in the early game, just trying to win streak or at least save as much HP as possible. And just going into the Assassins, I think generally you're gonna have 4 Bodyguards doing okay there. And it looks like it will probably be a win for Dish Soap. Pretty close fight overall, though.
Yeah, and like you're saying, this is a close fight. This is actually what these teams want. It's looking like a 4-unit loss. Not the best, but Spencer is killing units. It's teammates that aren't killing each other too hard. You want to preserve health in the early game, not just with your own board, but also if you can. If you know your rotation is mostly teammates, you can maybe try and get your board to be as close in strength to your teammates as possible, so the losses aren't too bad, and hopefully you can save some HP either for yourself or for your teammate.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the NA players are kind of econing right now, right? Rich Get Richer for Dish Soap. We know that Kurum was playing Mercenaries on 2-1, so a lot more lost streak style. It's actually funny. In the Trash Talk interview, some of the EU players were saying EU plays a lot more aggressive. NA likes to play kind of greedy, going for the econ, lose streaking, and they were saying they don't think that that's going to work for NA because of how aggressive EU plays, and they're going to take too much damage. So we immediately, in game 1, get to kind of see that in action, what the EU players were talking about. And will it work out for NA to have these, early econ starts, a lot of Yordles, econ augments, mercenaries, going up against a lot of these just very powerful early boards?
Yeah, and if this was an EU lobby with a couple NA players in, I imagine the NA players would have a bit of a rougher time. But it's not an EU lobby. It's a lobby with half NA and half EU. So the NA players who are all econing are going to hit each other eventually, not going to take too much damage, and that'll allow them to get to the point that their boards get super spiked. On the other hand, EU might just get a super spiked board right now because Salvi took Recombobulator, has a Vi2 and a Zeri.
But he's still okay. He was able to hold on to Colossus, a couple Colossus on the bench, I think, so that when you recom, you can still put them back in and still play with the armor plating. But now your carries are just way stronger because now you have a 2-star Vi. You've got a Zeri at level 6. I mean, this is crazy. What an insane board.
Oh no. Oh no.
That is so. That's such a cool play. I really like that from Salvi. Great usage of the recom.
The Recombobulator, yeah, he held on to the Colossus. He has the armor plating. He is gonna still want to make use of that augment, and hitting Vi2 with a TG on it, that is such a strong frontliner that is still gonna do a decent amount of damage, is definitely gonna get Salvi to that point in the late game where he can fish for that Galio, fish for that 3 Colossus with the armor plating, and still run the Vi. It still gives random 2 Bruiser with the Cho'Gath, so it's not like Salvi will ever really feel bad about getting rid of that unit.
Okay, and then Mark's here. There we go. Finally goes to 7. It's the last moment. Puts in a Poppy. Still, this board just looking very, very powerful with the twin shots. I don't know how much. I mean, it is a Poppy 2, so it probably did still add a decent amount of value just tanking up in the front line. It doesn't buy a ton of time here, but this is Kurum's Mercs. Not quite at the point where he's looking for the cash out, so he's definitely not going to be strong enough to beat Marks, and we're going to keep seeing just this win streak go on. We have an 8-win streak already.
Yeah, not strong enough to beat Marks, I don't think. Yeah, definitely not, but
oh no,
Kerm is still killing units, and that's the whole goal for him at this point. Does not quite get the last Caitlyn snipe off, so going to be a 4-unit loss, but he has saved enough HP to this point that he is at 32 now. Not the worst spot to be in. Is going to roll a little, see if he can cash out here. He doesn't need to, but if he can get a cash on 40 gold level 7, he's going to be in an absurdly strong spot for the rest of the game. Have just a boatload of econ to build an absurdly strong level 8 board. Go very quick level 9 with that. Yeah, he's
he just
opting
took out
into...
Mercs?
Wait, he took out Mercs.
There we go.
Okay, we got Mercs back in. Thank God. Kurum.
Don't pull a Kiyun on me.
No
Don't
Kiyun
pull a
incidents.
Kiyun on me.
Please, no. And it's gonna hit... Oh my God,
I was
he
gonna
hit
say
the two
Salvi's in
strong
his
players
pool, so it's
back to back. Yeah. Not
This
gonna
one's
cash
probably
here.
not gonna be good.
But Salvi playing 2 Colossus, and if he kills this Alistar, another 4-unit loss for Kurum. He is pretty healthy here.
Oh, maybe he gets there. Nah, not quite. Yeah, still though, only 4-unit loss as you mentioned. 10 loss streak right now. 2 Dravens on the bench, so could hit a Draven 2 very quickly. And this cash out, I mean, it's likely. We got to keep taking a look at like what his pool ends up being. Of course, we got a first round here with the Wolves, and then we'll be able to take a look. But again, if his pool ends up being all NA players, we know that they can try and reduce the power of their board to let Kurum cash out.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to want to reduce the power of their board too much because, yeah, they're going to try and weaken for Kurum, but they also have 2 other players that if they weaken too much, they're just going to get stomped, and they don't want that. So, going to maybe try and help Kurum a little bit, maybe not too much, but hopefully Kurum doesn't have to roll too much. Does find a replacement MF. Is going to also just go level 8 right now to basically just guarantee the cash. I imagine he's going to maybe try and swap out this Misfortune, try and get this Draven in somehow if he can find a Draven 2 or a Sivir 2. This is how Kurum likes to play. He really likes to play flexibly around these 4 costs. Really try and just play around whatever he can 2-star. Finds a Sivir pair, has determined this is going to be stronger with my current item setup. Builds a Zeke's on the Misfortune. Is going to hit Dish Soap, whose board...
That looks really weak.
That's a pretty weak board, and Dish Soap's also not slamming items, making his board weaker, and Kurum's gonna cash. This is what we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how intentional it was for Dish Soap, but we did talk about how it could be a strategy to try and weaken your board, and clearly Dish Soap not slamming items here, not trying to make the board stronger once that fight started, knowing it was Kurum, and just allows that win to happen. There's Kurum, there's the cash out, and we're gonna see what he gets. I know that last put into the chest was a big one, so we're gonna see what Kurum ends up finding and just how powerful this board gets. Can he take the run from this 10 loss cash out and make it to a first, or even just make it to the egg round to get even more powerful?
Yeah, starts selling off the board, clearing out some bench space.
Sivir
2. Let's see, we got the Tactician's Crown, still rolling a little, bunch of gold. He's taking this very slow, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's all right, especially with just the fact that he already hit, a lot of big power, right? So he's probably going to be stronger than most people already. He can just make sure he slams the items before this fight actually starts, unless he doesn't want to beat Spencer too hard. But Spencer does have a Draven 2 as well.
This is something Dish Soap did last round and Kurum is doing this round. Just waiting when you have potential to power spike, but you need to actively put it on your board. You wait until the round starts, see how much stronger you're trying to get. Spencer, still kind of a bad loss, but if Kurum had gotten to full power, Spencer would be single-digit HP right now.
Yeah, it could have been much worse, and Spencer able to potentially now have 2 lives instead of 1 if they can try and turn around that board, get a little bit stronger. But it is the bottom 4 currently NA, top 4 EU, but we did see a lot of econ for NA, and are they all going to be spiking around the same time here?
Yeah, well, we'll see. Solugasong and Mark's still hard win streaking at the top of the lobby. Mark's still 100 HP on the 12 win streak off that Enchanter board and the True 2s, so with NA all at the bottom, they're gonna be hitting each other and killing each other off eventually, which I'm worried about. But Kurum at least does have a strong enough cash out that he can go level 9 now. He can use these 2 Nikos to really power spike his board. Probably go first from here off this cash.
Yeah, definitely has the potential to do so. We're going to see him go up against Sologasong, and that's like a big loss immediately. However, a lot of these EU players have a lot of HP to work with, especially, Marks still hasn't lost. We talked about how good that board kept looking, and looking back, still at 100 HP, right? We got, it looks like Dish Soap versus Salvi. Another close fight, but Salvi having that big early advantage, not quite going to be enough to take out Dish Soap now. So a lot of the NA players with all the econ starting to catch up on board strength. But the problem that you mentioned, they're going to hit each other. And because their HP is so low, they will start to fall.
Yeah, Dish Soap, we can see, is level 8, was able to use that huge econ lead off Rich Get Richer to go level 8 at, I believe, 4-2. So, not losing too much health in the process. 32 HP, I mean, it's kind of unhealthy, but it's not the end of the world. Him, Kurum, Appies, depending on what his board state and what his econ looks like. Honestly, even Spencer, as long as he doesn't hit Kurum at the worst times and take 2 garbage losses, all these players on the NA side can get some pretty strong boards going. Dish Soap has a bunch of 4-cost pairs. As long as he can hit these, he has the Jin 2 already, he has the Braum 2. As this is a flex board built around 4 costs, and if he upgrades more of them, he's going to be very strong.
Well, I mean, it's very powerful, right? He has 3 5 costs in already with the Silco giving mana to Jinx and to Zeri, having the Jin 2 plus a Zeri with some itemization, still at the point where Zeri 1 is quite strong. Eventually that'll get outscaled, but if Dish Soap can make it maybe to even 9, start to look for those 2-star 5 costs, I mean, that's going to be such a good spot, especially because Dish Soap is strong enough right now to potentially start to econ back up.
Yeah, there's a chance he can go level 9. Might want to roll down for a couple more upgrades first. He has the Seraphine pair. If he naturals an Orianna pair, maybe could go for that. But this is Dish Soap's comfort zone. He is a lot like Kurum. He loves playing around these 4-cost carries, loves playing super flex, and is putting items on Zeri right now. But the rest of his board is 4 costs. This Jin, even with no items on it, still cranks a lot of damage. Orianna, Seraphine, the 2 best utility units in the set that are 4 costs, so playing around those, playing around the upgrades as well, decides to throw in the Zyra 2 over the Seraphine. It's an upgraded unit, it still gives Scholar, and the Zyra can do a lot of CC work in the backline, so this is a really solid board for Dish Soap. We'll see how much more he decides to roll, or when he's going to go 9.
Yeah, I mean, getting Uplink plus the Scholar is just going to make sure that all of these units are casting a lot quicker, or at least the ones with items. Not going to get the value from the uplink yet on the Jin, but the Scholar is going to help across the board. And we see just the positioning from Dish Soap trying to get a good hit with that Shroud. Just going to get the Braum, and pretty much his whole board gets shrouded by Appies. Might be a closer fight because of that, because all of that backline did, but the mana generation is so high. Just comes down to, there's a hook onto the Zeri, into the knockup from Braum. I think Appies is going to be able to pick this one up. Still a close fight, but in the end, it is going to be that Renata being able to just stay alive the entire time, putting out all the damage. And Appies going to hold on, 17 HP, but finds a win. And it's not a bad loss for Dish Soap.
Yeah, good hold on. A 3-unit loss for Dish Soap. Honestly, Dish Soap getting his team shrouded maybe gave Appies the win. But that's something you want to do for sure. Appies is the one who's on lower HP. You want to get him to hang on. This NA team right now is really hoping that these absurd power spiked boards are going to outlast EU. Gluteus in the 23 HP range among Dish Soap, Kurumax, and Appies. Salvi's not too far behind. Yeah, we got Marks and Sologasong at the top. Pretty far ahead in HP. You're not really looking to outlast them. You're looking to send Gluteus and Salvi in bot 4 and take a bunch of top 4 spots after that, and hopefully Kurumax, he's still the hope for NA off the Merc cache. They're really hoping he can take this first.
Yeah, he really is the hope for the first place, but that is a Jinx picked up for Marks, who has been playing those twin shots. Still, this board looks pretty similar to what it looked like on stage 3, which is probably why we're seeing Marks get a lot more losses at this point, but it just is a testament to how powerful it was. But those big upgrades, grabbing that Braum, grabbing that Jinx, those are going to start to make a big difference, especially if Marks at level 9, which he did go to a pretty fast 9, can find that Jinx too. Kurum, on the other hand, already has a Jinx too.
Yeah, Kurumax and Marks both going 5-1 level 9, which is, to put it lightly, a very, very, very fast 9. But Kurumax has the Merc cash out board, has the Tactician's Crown, has the Jinx too. Meanwhile, Marks doesn't really have much of anything besides being level 9. So it's gonna be a very good win for Kurum. Meanwhile, over on this fight, Appy's versus Salvi. Salvi's got 8 Cho'Gaths, and this Cho'Gath will not die with the Colossus and the armor plating helping out earlier.
Oh, it messed up a cast, though. It messed up a
Wait.
cast. Maybe there's a chance.
Oh,
yeah, there is.
Setta's got it.
Oh, he hangs
Happy thank
on.
God.
I want to say, though, for Kurum, sorry, did I say Jinx 2? I meant Jinx 2, Galio 2, and Silco 2. let's be
5-1, by the way.
That board is insane over on the side of Kurum, and very likely going to be a first get that bounty for the team.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we also see Spencer. This is a Spencer classic right here. He's on 14 HP, bottom of the leaderboard, potentially 1 life, and he's win streaking it back. How many times have we seen Spencer do this? Way too many times.
All right, Gluteus, though, trying to hang on, but that Shroud, pretty decent from Appy's. Also, even better for Gluteus, and it's just up to the Renata to try and hang on, but that RE positioning, getting all that damage out. Now it's just the Jhin. Not going to be enough here, though. Gluteus had the better of the positioning war and takes out Appy's. That's 2 NA players down. Spencer and Appy's. Dish Soap not far behind. It really is Kurum as the last hope as we take a look here at the Cho'Gath 3 for Salvi.
Oh, I just caster cursed Spencer, didn't I? Oh no. It's fine. Okay, Spencer would streak it back into an 8th. And then Appy's is not far behind him off of really a positioning diff. Gluteus got the RE angle to hit the Renata immediately. So the Renata just dies. Appy's damage is gone, not just a loss, but because his damage is gone, he can't kill units. He takes a bad enough loss, he just goes to instant 7th. So we got 2 NA players versus 4 EU players. Yeah, KuramX is probably going to win streak this back into the first, but for the overall points, not looking the best for NA.
Oh, no, not looking good at all, especially because Dish Soap definitely could drop really soon at that 5 HP. Depends on who they were fighting. It looks like they were fighting Kurum, so Kurum actually takes out Dish Soap, as we see Gluteus with some good positioning again with the Ahri, gonna be hanging on a little longer. Really, Kurum just wants to be hitting Gluteus or hitting some of these other people as hard as possible, but instead deals a nice 17 damage to Dish Soap.
Oh, well, Kurum, you're the last hope. It's fine. This introduces a really fun dynamic to the lobby, and by fun, I mean not fun for KuramX whatsoever. He's got 4 NA players, or 4 EU players rather, against him. They don't have to position for anyone else. They can all stare at KuramX's board and position exclusively for him. Will it matter? It depends, because Kurum's board might just be strong enough that they can do whatever they want and it's not gonna matter. But he's gonna have his work cut out for him, even off the super strong Merc cash out board.
Yeah, not looking good for Susgage business in general, seeing as how they went 6, 7, 8. But, you know, as you mentioned, the pressure on for Kurum. He's got to deal with the 4 EU players. But he could still look to get that bounty for the team, get a little bit of cash in their pockets at the end of this one. Solgasong having that Sivir 2, very powerful board, a lot of CC getting into the backline. And Marks, though, does have the Seraphine, the Victor, the Jinx, a lot of damage. It's just down to the Jinx. Solgasong's still going to take that, though. Marks has dropped quite a bit, and it looks like Kurum found Gluteus and immediately wiped them off of the Convergence.
Yeah, EU finally drops a player, so now it's just a 3v1, so now Kurum, one less player to position it for and worry about.
Ooh, Jace 2.
But still, the rest of EU, they actually can worry about who they want to leave alive to try and have the best chance at beat KuramX. They can determine, hey, who has the best matchup, and maybe potentially int for that player to give them the best chance of making sure KuramX doesn't go first.
Yeah, it might just be hard, though. Kurum just might be way too strong. I mean, we look at this board.
Look at this.
Sivir
Wow.
2, great
Just
items.
wow.
Galio 2, Silco 2, Jinx 2. I mean, it's so crazy right now, and this is going to be a big chunk into Solgasong as we do have that hit once again. But there's just a lot of HP to work with, so Solgasong might be able to go to 9, might be able to try and get even more powerful. Salve has this Cho'Gath 3 that's trying to do a lot of work, but It's looking like with this fight being so close, even against Marks, I don't know if they're going to fare that well against Kurum.
Yeah, I think they're just going to let Marks take the fourth.
Oh, there we go.
And any standard lobby, you're more than okay with that hard win streaking.
This can make a difference.
Yeah, egg pop. We got Tome for Solo Gasang. We got Infinity Edge and Hand of Justice. That's... I want to say those are pretty good Radiant items, and by pretty good, I mean really good if he can figure out how to work these onto the Sivir or the Aurelia. For Marks, we got Quickest, Silver Sash, and the Warmogs. Quicksilver, actually not the greatest Radiant item. I've hit it myself, and it doesn't do that much. But yeah, we're hitting the Radiant items. We've got now 3 EU players with Radiant items, but we have to keep in mind Kurum X with a strong cash out board, and now Radiant items on top of that. So he's just going to be super, super strong. We'll see if anyone else in this lobby can match him.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the uphill battle to match him, but there's been a lot of time, right, to try and catch up, because Kurum has been on a relatively capped board for quite some time at this point. And now everyone else is starting to be able to cap theirs out. So maybe, just maybe, we can see the turnaround. That is a Radiant Zephyr and a Radiant Redemption on the side of Kurum. And that Galio is still just getting plenty of CC out. But the Victor is getting a cast off, getting multiple casts off. This is actually getting very close. And in fact, Kurum actually loses a fight. And that does not bode well for Suskage business.
But we see that Kurum X is sitting on 50 gold. Maybe can go for Galio 3. Why not? Let's see. Or go for Sivir 3. He can maybe hit a 3-star here. And if he hits a 3-star, yeah, all the EU players are really capping out their boards around these 5 costs. But at some point, how do you beat multiple 5 costs and the 3-star 4 cost, or even just a 3-star 5 cost? Kurum X hasn't, we can see on the side of the screen, hasn't hit any of those yet. So, it's not looking the greatest.
Marks just sold their carries.
Yeah.
So what you talked about, I think, is potentially happening here. Now he's starting to slam items. I was curious if he was just trying to lose to Solo Gasang, thinking that Solo Gasang has a better chance.
I think so. I think that's exactly what happened, actually. Yeah.
Very late on the pivot, which I imagine was intentional just to try and set this up. But Kurum also finds a win against Salvi.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say it was intentional. So, for now, Kurum X...
You said it was a possibility, right?
Yeah.
You said it was a possibility.
Oh, exactly. I said it was a possibility that the EU team ins for whoever they think has the best chance of beating Kurum, and I think they think that it's going to be either Salvi or Solo Gasang, and Solo Gasang did take a fight off Kurum. So, I think they think that he's got the best shot. Kurum, though, continues to roll down, is sitting on 6 Sivers and 5 Aurelias, so pretty far off these 3-star 4 costs, and even the Sivir, yeah, that's his best chance off his units, but we have to keep in mind Solo Gasang also running the Sivir, so Kurum has to find the last 3 Sivers in the pool in order to hit that. But in the EU battle, actually, Solo Gasang gonna keep Salvi alive for now, so yeah, Solo Gasang could have killed Salvi off, but that would just guarantee Kurum X's top 2. This is kind of, I think they're thinking they can send Kurum X third, so Solo Gasang keeping Salvi alive as long as they beat Kurum here, that's going to pay off. That's going to be at least -1 point.
All right, but Kurum finds a Shroud. Salvi gets a Zephyr. These are the big positioning pieces that you love to see in the late game, and they give you ways to outplay your opponents. Try and make sure that even if a fight isn't necessarily favored for you, you can turn it around. You can make it favored for you. As we see, Remover taking off the items on Jinx. Start shuffling things around Zephyr, and the shadows are going to be able to be moved around when this fight starts, depending on who Kurum fights. Fighting Salvi, so going to be able to slam those down, try and hit the best units.
I love how Kurum X is playing this. He's not worrying about rolling his gold. The power spike he's going to hit is not that great, so he's worrying more about getting the Shroud, getting the Radiant Zephyr on. Finds the Radiant Zephyr on the Cho'Gath 3. That is going to be huge, but we have to see if they can take down the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa 2 with 2 Radiant items.
I mean, that's terrifying. There's another ult. There's just more and more casts coming through. One more cast. Oh, it's no! Salvi gets it. Salvi gets it, sends for Kaisa.
Double Radiant item, Kaisa 2 barely clutches it out. The Jinx almost killed that Kaisa, but Kurum choosing to Radiant Zephyr the Cho'Gath probably didn't have actually the Radiant Zephyr put possibility on the Kaisa, so got the Cho'Gath out of the way instead. And that Kaisa just barely pops off enough, so we've got the really just courtesy final 1v1 between Solo Gasang and Salvi for who's going to take it for EU. Suscage business.
Yeah.
3, 6,
Rough
7,
start.
8.
Rough start.
Very rough start.
I don't want to see Panda right now. I don't want to talk to Panda. I don't want to see him. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to hear from him. It's okay. This is just a warm up game. You know?
Yeah.
Just a warm up game to start the day. But impressive play out of Solvi Marksmith. Very good. That team popping off.
And this is the end of game 1, and we'll see you in the next game.